at this point in time, I've got teams all over the world intervening and helping out people. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I saw the chaos going here, and I went to the creator and I says, I'm going to give everybody 5 of my teams, every man, woman, and child, beyond the angels that they were given when they came into birth here. And the creator says, no, I'll give them 10. I said, okay, 10 it is. So everybody's got 10 extra teams of angels, and they're equivalent of Archangel Michael. They have the same skill set. And so when people are praying, they're hooking up with their 10 teams, and it's pretty interesting, the results that they get. So anyway, I'm just kind of here to help everybody out, bring the teams in and let them work and try to move to a better place for everybody.
Hello and welcome to Get Yourself Optimized. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer. It is my pleasure and honor to have Jerry Bedlington with us today. Jerry has more than 15 years of experience. He is with Angel Team Healing. He is on a mission to help. So far, he's helped over 9,000 people from around the world, coordinating powerful angel teams to rebalance energy fields for emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. I personally have worked with him and have had amazing results. It is such an honor to have you on the show. Thank you for coming, Jerry.
Thanks, Stephen. It's good to see you today.
So first of all, I would love for you to share your origin story of how you ended up working with angels and how you've kind of sensed the ethereal, the other side of the veil. Was that something you've had since childhood? And how did that first kind of come into your purview?
Well, I'm an aircraft mechanic. I got 30 years in aviation, and I'm FAA certified. So at the end of my career, I decided I want to retire and do inventions. So I got plasma cutters and TIG welders and brakes and everything ready to go. And I took a class on the auric field of the body, your energy field. There, they had an exercise where I learned I could hear the angelic presence. Not good, but it was a start. Then a lady that taught Tibetan metaphysics, I went to that class, and there I learned how to bring angels in and do energy surgery, where I could take an energy field out and put a new one in. And so I was practicing with that. And down in Seattle, I had a group of people in the Dowsing group where they dowsed for water. And I was giving a lecture there, and a lady came in that had third eye capability. She could see interdimensionally, and she saw all the angels that were around me. So she got my little checklist that I had and typed it all up and said, okay, Jerry, ready for our class now. And so I started teaching. It wasn't my intention to teach, and I was just enjoying what I was doing. So at that point in time, it kind of evolved. Mainly was using a pendulum for dowsing. And then I had a friend, Dean, who has third eye capability. So Dean and I hooked up together because we live in a dual world. We live in a physical plane and a spirit plane. Physical plane, we got it pretty much under control. But the spirit plane is deep, is dark, is unknown what's there. And so I use Dean in my sessions as a forward scout. I can ask angels to show me something, and then he can look at it interdimensionally in a hologram. So my job is to give him protection, give my client protection, and then if anything happens, it's my job to go in there and deal with it. And I coordinate a little over 105,000 quadrillion teams of angels. So I have a lot of firepower to accomplish what I need to do. And at this point in time, I've got teams all over the world intervening and helping out people. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I saw the chaos going here, and I went to the creator and I says, I'm going to give everybody 5 of my teams, every man, woman, and child, beyond the angels that they were given when they came into birth here. And the creator says, no, I'll give them 10. I said, okay, 10 it is. So everybody's got 10 extra teams of angels, and they're equivalent of Archangel Michael. They have the same skill set. And so when people are praying, they're hooking up with their 10 teams, and it's pretty interesting, the results that they get. So anyway, I'm just kind of here to help everybody out, bring the teams in and let them work and try to move to a better place for everybody.
Yeah. So I got so many questions around just this little aspect of it. Like, what's the difference between a team and a legion? And what kinds of teams are we talking about? Because I know you've talked with me about like micro teams and chakra teams and so forth. So let's start there with the different kinds of teams and how that differentiates from a legion.
Okay, so let me set you a little more base. So when I started, I had no idea where I was going. So I made a little folder up here, And I started keeping a record of the teams. And I'm just going to spread this out just for everybody to kind of see. So
Wow,
as you look,
that's a lot.
yeah, and we continue on. So I label them off as to what they were doing. And then you get over to the last year, then you start seeing numbers. These are the team numbers that I have. So I've got quite a group here. So when we talk of legions, that's coming out of the Bible. I'm not real familiar with that. And the teams, when I send a team in, I don't know if there's 5 in the team or 10 or 100,000. At this point in time, as I've intervened around the world, I've been sending quadrillions in, like 1 or 2 quadrillions into any situation that's going on. So I have a lot of angel teams to help each person out in that situation and get the firepower. So the legions, I'm not familiar with that. I am familiar that it is in the Bible and it is talked about, but I'm not familiar with that. You talk about micro teams. Let me touch base with that. If there's problems within the physical body and there needs to be balancing going on, I'll request maybe 20, 30, 40 micro teams to go in and start to rebalance the field out. I'll also bring in micro toxic waste teams if there need to be toxins removed and let them work. And like when I work with Dean watches all this. See, so I have a set of eyes in the spirit plane. So he watches as I talk to the teams. He watches as the teams go in and implement what I'm asking them to do and give me clarification of completion. And when the boss puts me on a job on an airplane, at the end of 8 hours, 10, 12 hours I work, he wants results. And that's what I want when I work with my teams. Get in there, do the job, get results, come back out, and get ready to do our next project as such.
Yeah. Now there is an amazing experience that I had. I think I shared this with you that you brought about you and your teams of angels. This was just one of a number of experiences that were quite profound for me working with you. And one of them was you took out an energy field of my third eye visor and put in a new one, or your teams did this. And then that night I had a profound, very powerful vision that was not like a dream. It was as if I was there in this alternate reality and able to interact, like super high definition vision of, like, like I don't know, like I don't know how to describe it other than like I'm inside of an IMAX movie. And that was that very next night. So you did the energy field work. I specifically asked for assistance with being able to see visions, and then an amazing miracle ensued that night. Or actually, it was early in the morning, like probably 5, 6, 7 in the morning. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
profound.
Oh, too cool. That's part of the language of angels. And when I teach, that's the first thing I teach my group. And within about 5 to 10 minutes, I give an exercise and I know how each person is communicating. Some may get visions, some may hear, some may have a discernment or a knowing. But it gives me a good idea where everybody's coming at. And then I have each student tell what had happened, so the other students have the aha moment because they may have happened to them too. So, but that's
Yeah.
very cool. The third eye, and we have a third eye screen here. For a lot of folks, I don't have mine opened up, and I don't wish it to be opened up because a lot of beings or spirits will know that it is open, and they can be continually interfering because you can pick up on their presence as such. So I leave that to Dean and clairvoyance that I work with.
So did you
But yeah,
have an
that's pretty cool.
experience where you saw something through your third eye visor and you're like, whoa, I don't really want to see that sort of thing anymore, and then you closed it?
That could have happened. I've never looked at that. I'll have to ask one of my clairvoyants to look to go back in time. I can go forward in time to a large degree, and I can go back in time and look at past lives. Uh, in the body field, like let's say the shoulder, there's a pictorial record here of every lifetime that I've lived, and a record in that shoulder of what's happened. So if I have an injury there, I'll find it in the pictorial record of the past lifetimes, and I go in there and neutralize it out and archive it in peace, joy, and happiness. That way, the body can start to heal because a lot of injuries. When I find people that have problems, I first look in the past lives, see if it's coming in from outside or if it's generating right here in this field, as such. And then I pull the cording, dissolve that, and put healing poultices in the physical body as well as the one I just archived.
Yeah. So what does that mean to archive, to neutralize it out, to pull out cords or remove cords? Like for somebody who isn't familiar with this terminology and with that sort of ethereal world, this might sound pretty out there for them. Although some of my
Yeah.
listeners are pretty used to this sort of conversation. Yeah.
Well, with the archive, what I'll do is I'll take that event in that Cossack record and I'll put that into like a vault as such, because I need to have that energy stopped. If you have a water hose, that hose is going, you got to go to the faucet and turn it off. And by archiving it, I've shut the energy off there. When I shut that off, but I'll go in there and also put peace, joy, and happiness in that archive, in that energy field. So we're balancing it out. I'll then have the angels dissolve the cords, because the cord would be like the water hose coming into the physical plane. So I'll have them dissolve the cords, and then I'll pull the energy out from the physical body here as well, and put a healing poultice in both places, in the archival profile and in the physical body. I'll put a healing poultice both places, and that'll usually stop it.
So you said a few things that are really important here. One is that you fill. I'm going to kind of paraphrase here, but basically you fill the void after the removal or the dissolving of the cords or the neutralizing of the discordant energies. You're replacing that, filling that void with peace, joy, and happiness. And my understanding of the reason why is because, the old adage, nature abhors a vacuum. So if you leave the space there, with an absence of anything, because you had the angels pull out whatever it was that was negative, whether it's an implant or some sort of negative energy, you got to fill it with something. So peace, joy, and happiness is a great thing to fill it with.
Yeah, yeah. Keep it set there for that time frame as such. Right. Anything else on that you want to ask?
Yeah, so let's talk about like what other things you can fill with, because I know you've done things where you've filled a space. Let's say that I don't know, somebody is let's say making an important decision in your life, and you're removing blockages and filling the space with I don't know what it is, like ease, grace. Uh,
Yeah.
Butterflies
Well,
and rainbows or whatever. Like, what are the things that you fill spaces and so forth with?
Well, what'll happen with people? They'll think that I'm a seer, and they'll come to me, want me to make decisions for them. As example, maybe they're going to buy something or they're going to do this. So the first thing I would do would kind of teach them what it feels like having peace, joy, and happiness in your hand, neutralization in your hand, and discordant energy, dark energy in your hand. So I can reach through space and time and put energy in a person's hand. So I'll let them feel each of these parameters. And then I'll take what their situation is and put that into their hand. And then I'll say, what does that feel like? Is it smooth and comfortable, spiky, neutral, or where are you at? From that, since they're working with their five senses, they already know, oh, this feels good, and I'm going to go with that. And we operate on our five senses. Everything that we see, smell, or hear, that's how we evaluate. But we have a sixth sense, which everybody has, and a lot of men don't identify with it very well, but women are really good with it. And so we just let them run with that, and they make their own decisions for themselves. And of course, my intention is to teach everybody the process. If I had my way, I'd have everybody in the world come through my basic class. Learn how to communicate with the angels, know where they're at. Everybody comes out of the class in a knowing element, rather than faith, belief, and hope. They come out knowing. They can connect with the angels. I may have angels give them a hug. I may invite the Creator and have the Creator or God give them a hug, because get a connection to the angelic presence.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I was planning on bringing that up. One of the things I've incorporated into my morning ritual, which includes various prayers and protection and so forth, is now I ask God to give me a hug, and I feel it when.
Too cool.
Yeah.
Right on. And is it like a human hug, or is it like an angelic hug?
It is certainly metaphysical. It's not in the physical. I feel it physically in the form of my whole body feels electric and like goosebumps all over.
Yeah.
Like
Yep. There
the
you go.
angel bumps, the goosebumps of getting a confirmation, like you get the hair standing on your arms and every other part of your body. And that happens
Yeah.
when the angels want to let me know that, hey, this is really important, this is true. But I feel a different sensation when I get a hug from God, and it's still also very electric and kind of goosebumpy, but it no, it feels I feel held. It's really special. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's really soothing to the body
Yeah, and
in
to
your
the soul. I
45
mean,
cents.
it's just it's so special to me. It's like, why don't I make that part of my morning ritual? And I ask, and I know that God can choose to do it or not. And every time He does do it, so if I'm in a lower vibration, I may not feel it to the same degree, but it doesn't mean that God's going to withhold a hug from me because I'm cranky or feeling negative or something. So that's important to know, that God loves you regardless, unconditionally, even if you're having a really bad day or you're in a terrible mood. Yeah. So thank
Yep.
you for
And
making that aware to me, that I could ask God for a hug, because I learned that from you.
oh, oh, good, good, good. Yeah, and the teams that you have, you can ask hugs from them. And one of the first things that I do in the classes, I'll have everybody have. I'll introduce the teams to everybody, and then have the teams touch their hands so they know what it feels like to have an angel touch your hand. And then I'll ask, okay, you can ask for a hug, and kind of go from there. And I'll do a side story. I got a lot of stories. A lady who had been in my class a number of times in L.A., a black lady, she'd passed away. And of course, the religious leaders will not let me on the pulpit. Oh, no, you do not want to see me up there. But the family asked me to give a eulogy. So I went down there, and I get on the pulpit, and I told everybody, well, I'm going to clear this place up first of all the energies. So I had the teams come in and sweep the place. Then I says, bring Lissa in. And I had two teams of angels that were with Lissa to take her home. So Lissa came in, and I said to Lissa, remember how the angels touched your hand when you were alive? She says, yep. Everybody in the audience, hold your left hand or right hand out. And Lissa, touch their hands, let them know you're present. And the management, they were coming unglued because they didn't want to see this kind of a process going on. And then I says, if you would like a hug from Lissa, then you ask for a hug from Lissa. And so we had a good connection there with everything. So that was, don't get me too much on side stories because I got lots of them. But,
That's awesome. And
yeah.
so when you have the angels sweep the place, that's to remove all negative energies, discordant energies, and then you have them fill that space after they sweep it, after they remove. And is it just peace, joy, and happiness, or are you having them bring in other things? Like, can they smell the smell of roses, perhaps, or things like that when
Well, what I'll do is I'll sweep the place, and then I'll put in peace, joy, and happiness, rose petals and orange blossoms, and different flowers. They may smell them, but they'll feel the energy of these flowers coming in the peace and the joy and the happiness. So my objective is to clean the place up, especially if I'm doing a surgery. I'll go in the hospital and I'll clean the surgical room up, the doctors up, and then I'll span out to the hospital. Anybody that had passed away that's still there, I'll have the two teams of angels take each person home to the crater and clean that up.
so when let's say that there's a surgery or a operating room, whatever, there's someone who passed in that room and they haven't transitioned over, so they're just kind of hanging out in this world still. I don't know if you want to call it a ghost or just a disembodied soul that hasn't gone home yet. How do you sense that there is some uh, being there in that place, especially if you're not in the room physically? Because I know you don't have that third eye visual capability that you've activated in yourself. So you just get a sense of it. Like, do you hear God talking to you, your angels talking to you through clairaudience, or how does that come through?
Well, I don't sense there, but what usually happens is people are afraid of death, and and they're also afraid maybe something they've done in this lifetime, and they won't go back. They're looking down; they won't look up to where the angels are at. And so, what I'll do, just as a blanket situation, is I'll just go ahead and blanket the whole place and have the teams, anybody that's still there, go ahead and engage them in gold light. If they need to go to the temple of light for additional healing, they will take them there first and then on home to the crater. It just kind of depends on what's going on in that person. But I'll make sure things are cleaned up. Surgeries are interesting, and I had one person that had to have a hip surgery, an elderly lady. I did not know when that was going to happen. So I cleaned the operating room up and I cleaned the doctors up and the staff and everything, and had extra teams, two surgical teams with each doctor, two teams of support with each of the supporting staff. When that surgeon came out from that operation, says, "God, that's the best surgery I ever did. I was ahead of time and it was smooth." And I says, "Yeah, you ought to have me around all the time to help you out and with your surgeries." But yeah, they were pretty happy with that.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say for privacy reasons who in my family had a surgery, but this was, in the recent several years, the angels definitely guided the hand of the surgeon. Like, I have no doubt about that. Now, you weren't involved in this particular situation, so I'm sure hearing this story for the first time, because I'm pretty sure I didn't tell you this before. But yeah, I absolutely get the sense that angels guided that surgeon's hand, and then to look at the surgeon's star ratings on Google afterwards, and like, oh, I don't know that I would have chosen that doctor. Actually, there was no choice; it was just assigned that morning. But yeah, that would have just created a lot of worry, and worry is praying for what you don't want. So looking at those Google ratings and the lower star ratings before the surgery would not have helped us to feel that sense of certainty and comfort and faith. So I'm glad we didn't look at it. But yeah, definitely angels are guiding and working with us, but we do have to ask. And do you want to explain a little bit more about that? Because I think it's important for our listener to understand they have to engage the angels and ask them for assistance. Otherwise, they're not allowed to interfere with our free will.
Well, there are laws that govern the creators in a relationship to us, and also the angels. And the basic one is, if you don't ask, it's like hands off. Now, I have had students or have ran into people that have had angels appear to them, or have when death was imminent, that they appeared and shut that off so that they weren't taken out of here. But beyond that, or if you have a vision, but beyond that, the angels are pretty much there watching you. It's kind of interesting. The Creator is not going to let you run wild and unsupervised down here. So we always have at least one angel with you. And what's interesting in the way they generally communicate, it's like a still small voice, but it's like a whisper in a thought form. Boom, and it's gone. And it only happens once. But if you missed it and did not follow it, your soul will have remembered it and will bring it to your attention down the road when you should have shifted and gone over this direction rather than your path you were going on. They're pretty creative. I did have an angel yell at me one time, and I spoke with the angel a couple of days ago, actually. You want to hear that story?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. Well, as an aircraft mechanic, I was in the Middle East working out of Saudi Arabia. And I also had 2 degrees in photography. And King Faisal Hospital had 4 photographer spots. And so I had applied to go there and work as a medical photographer. And my job there was to do patient documentation, lectures for the doctors, and surgery documentation. But to this day, it was time for me to do passports, because we serviced the whole passport thing. So I had about 6 people come in. I photographed in black and white, and I went and developed the film. And I went up to the third story television studio. As I walked through the door, a voice came to me, "You did not put fixture into that container." I says, "Yes, I did." A third time, or second time more forcefully, "You did not put fixture into that container." I says, "Yes, I did." Third time, it was like I was being shaken and yelled at. I said nothing. I went right back downstairs into the dark room, pulled the lid off, and I put developer back in and had to do a reshoot. So, but that's an isolated situation that, they can yell at you, but for the most part, they're going to be just a whisper and a thought form there and gone. I've been picking up more and more of that, and it's so subtle for me that I've really got to pay attention. But the ladies do really good with that. They pay attention, they pick up on the subtleness, and they follow it, and they say, "Oh, I got results." And so when something happens again, they'll follow it, and so they're really good at perceiving that still small voice.
Yeah, it's very important to listen to that. I remember one of my staff. He was driving down the road, I think on a freeway, and his wife was in the passenger seat, kids in the back, and his wife was hearing that still small voice and said, "Get over into the right lane." And he was in the left lane, and he didn't immediately get over. And she repeated herself, "Get in the right lane." And took 3 times. Finally, after the third request, and this time she was very forceful about it, "Get in the right lane." And then just seconds later, there was a big crash in the left lane that they just avoided by that. But he finally listened to the still small voice that his wife was hearing. Yeah, really
Right on.
important
Good
to take
story.
action on this stuff and not just be, "Oh, okay, thanks for the intuition," or whatever. No, you gotta act on it if you want to keep getting it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Absolutely, paying attention, and it takes a while for men are out to lunch all the time. We think we know it all, and we think we're going to do this, that, and the next, but we don't do so well in that department.
Well, we can all do better always.
Yeah.
Let's talk for a minute about thought forms. So you mentioned this
Okay.
idea of a thought form. For somebody who's not familiar with a thought form, what is it exactly? And then let's talk a little bit about negative thought forms.
Sure. So a thought form, when I say it's like a whisper in a thought form, a thought is when you get in the morning, you have a thought to go down and have breakfast, and a half hour later, you materialize it, physically materialize it. So a thought, it comes to you of an intention, and that intention is a situation. Well, this is where I'm going to go. But when the angels talk to you, it's an instruction. Make a move, like you were exampling with that car situation. Make a move and do it now. As example, this morning I had that thought form to get my pendulum out because I do a lot of dowsing in my work too because I don't have visuals. So and it's so subtle as, okay, I better stop right here and do what I'm told to do or instructed to do. So it's a thought that comes. The other process, what was the other part that you were wanting on that?
Yeah, so a negative thought form, let's say that something negative is attached to you. It could be an entity, or it could just be a negative thought form that is whispering unhelpful things to you. It's like it's bringing your energy down. It's clouding your receiving abilities, or it's making things look worse than they actually are. Kind of the opposite of rose-colored glasses.
Well, negative thoughts will bring beings around. You remember when I said we live in 2 worlds, physical plane, spirit plane? Well, you have negative thoughts. It's like a magnet out there. These beings can pick up on that, and they'll come around. And these beings, they like to feed on negative energy. That's kind of like their food. And so you want to try to stay as much positive as possible. And if you get in negative thoughts, then you want to ask the angels to help out and move it out, or shift that thought immediately to a more positive thought. Maybe looking at kitty cat pictures or puppy dogs or a sunset, something that's happy. It's kind of like negative and positive. Well, let's try keeping the positive. You can also get energy babies. If you have enough thoughts, you create an energy form that impacts you. And when we do my work, we can find those all the time around people. So I just have to dissolve those out and put in peace, joy, and happiness and fill that void out.
So what's an example of that?
of a energy baby.
Yeah, so a negative
Well,
energy baby, like keep having the same thought, like, oh gosh, I look fat or something like that, and that keeps showing up, and it's kind of not just a self reinforcing kind of rut in your brain, but you're actually energetically in that ethereal world creating a pretty powerful negative thought form, right?
yeah. Well, if you keep processing that thought like that, then you own it. And usually about 15, 20 seconds in a thought like that, you own that. And so now you got to try to get that thought and that energy field off of your physical body. When I work, we have three brains. We have a head brain, a heart brain, and a gut brain. I can have the angels pull those brains out up and put them into a linear from left to right, so we can see all the programs that are playing. And so, if there's negative programs in there, which you may have put in there by your thoughts, I can go ahead and pull those out and put peace, joy, and happiness in there, and then they could reprogram again to a better place if they wish.
Yeah.
So, but that makes sense to you.
Yeah, yeah. So if somebody is, let's say, negatively affected, their thoughts are pretty low vibration. They see everything as half glass empty, and dystopian nightmare sort of scenarios. They could be interfered with by different kinds of entities. It's not just necessarily that they have a negative thought form hanging around them. It's that they could be interfered with by a different kind of an entity. And I know there are different kinds of entities and interferences that are negative, like implants and possessions and that sort of thing. So could we walk through some of the different kinds of negative entities?
Yeah, possessions is a being will go in the body and start to control its movements and its actions. We'll see that when I work with a Dean. Dean will actually scan, and like Dean will be 1,000 miles away, but he'll go in there with his fingertips and start scanning through the energy field, and he can feel the being in there. And sometimes he'll get bit because in the whole world, that's kind of a no-no in the psychic world to do that. But we get permission to do that. So we at that point in time, then I'll come in with tracker teams and warrior teams, and I'll grab that being out of there, and I'll take it to the creator, and then I'll also instruct the angels to dissolve energy signatures and footprints of that being's present there, so no other beings can come backtrack on their energy field and take a residence there.
Gotcha.
Negative beings, there's lots of them out there in the spirit plane. It's just keeping your thoughts as positive as possible. But if they do come in, then you're going to feel them. If you're an empath, you're going to feel them quite readily. So you want to always try to be in that positive state. And if you're an empath and have a lot of challenges with all the energy, I can put a control board right in front of you like this, about maybe 6 inches high, 12 inches long, and put it right in front of you with a big knob on it. You turn to the left, and it dials your sensitivity down, so you're not impacted. Like say, you go into a mall, we can dial that sensitivity down so you're not impacted, and then you can go back out and turn it back up again to where you go. And that'll be with you all the time if I give one of those to you.
Gotcha. Now, what about aliens or ETs? Can't they be negative and attached to you as well and giving you kind of some grief?
Yeah, ETs. What we have found, we'll find implants in the body, and I'll have ETA 10s come in, and they'll look at that, how it was put in, and I'll tell them to back it out carefully and dissolve it. And what's usually happened is that individual may have lived as an ET in another time frame, another planet. As it comes to the point that it's going to die, the upper echelons makes a deal with that person or that being that they can follow you into this life experience, and we'll find them around there. Sometimes I'll have to bring in the commanders of the motherships and tell them that's not acceptable, and then I'll have to take them out. I'll have all the teams go ahead and take the ship back and send it back to where it came in from, and pull all the other ETs off the earth as well, because you should have a free earth experience here, not impacted by ETs from another time frame, or a time that you left that they're now tracking you for various reasons.
Right.
But it's not uncommon, and they're etheric implants. They're like an air implant, is what we see, and Dean picks up on that real readily on those things.
So etheric implants won't be picked up by MRI scans or anything like that physically.
No,
Yeah.
no, no, no. And it's kind of interesting. Let me take a sidetrack here. I found this magazine in 2014, and it says this. It's kind of, it says,
No, the
can we see that
Optimist.
okay
Yes,
there?
I've heard of that magazine.
Yeah, it says we live in a 4% world. That's the world we can see, build, measure, and organize. Then there's the 96% we do not see, but that determines everything. Welcome to the new reality. And so even though we're in a 4% world here, I'm quite often in that 96% looking at what's going on. What have you brought in with you? And were there curses brought in with you or contracts? And I have curse and contracts teams that will go and neutralize that stuff out. And it's a real escapade of antics as we look at the different things that are going on that's happened to a person.
Yeah. So curses and contracts. So what does a curse and contract team of angels do? They're voiding the contract that you made in a past life that's carrying over into this lifetime, that kind of binds you in a negative way to another soul and has like some sort of negative repercussions on this lifetime.
Yeah, if you had made a contract, uh, you may not know what you were making a contract for exactly. Like everything in life, we don't know what's going on until we're right in the chute doing it. Then it's up front and in your face. You know everything about it. And so you may be totally controlled. Maybe they'll have opportunities. So I'll have contract teams come in. I'll engage that contract, neutralize it out, and then drop it. Then curses, they'll carry from lifetime to lifetime too. And you always want to make sure that you grab that curse, neutralize it out. And what I'll do is I'll also, whoever put that curse on that individual, I'll have that angels dim their minds because they're somewhere in space and time. We don't know where. Dim their minds to this situation that they cannot focus on it again.
To send another curse. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another curse. So
yeah, so a curse, one way of thinking about it is it's a negative prayer. If you believe in the power of prayer, I'm talking about you, the hypothetical person, the listener. If you believe in prayer, then you, by kind of default, believe in negative prayer too. If somebody is cursing you or sending you evil eye, which is essentially, again, a negative prayer or envy and jealousy that they want what you have, that sends some pretty spiky energy your way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it will. And you know it. One of the things that I kind of teach in my classes, people come with faith, belief, and hope in the class. And me, as an aircraft mechanic, I'm in a hard reality. I shoot rivets and drill holes in airplanes and build stuff. And so when my students come through my class, they come with that faith, belief, and hope, but they come out the backside knowing. And they know how to grab energy. They're going to set a dimensional laser, so they know what it's like to be in the know. And that's where I want everybody to be to be in a knowing situation. So when you have a curse on you, you know something's wrong, but you cannot pin it down because you don't have the expertise or the language or the awareness or the experience of having that. And when we come in, we can see it. And usually when I'm in a session, I'll discern it. There's curse going on, or we had a client here in the past week or two. Have you been sexually molested? And of course, then it came out because there's a lot of energy and all that. And she brought that to our attention. Then I was able to go and start working on that, get that out of her field. So, yeah, curse is an interesting animal. And people do that in past lives. The medievals, they like doing curses and witchcraft and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
it's just the name of the game of hurting other people.
Yeah, it's just another evil tool that they're wielding. And also, when you think about the fact that time is an illusion, that there is no past, present, and future, it's all happening in the eternal now, then something that was sent to you, a negative prayer, a curse from I don't know, the 1400s or something can actually very much affect you today, because that's not hundreds and hundreds of years ago. It's all part of the eternal now.
Yep, yep, yep. It's all right there, front and in your face.
Yeah.
So it's real valuable. It's valuable to get tuned every once in a while with us, just to pull all the energy off that's not yours. Especially like with people that are doing massage work, they're not trained real well in clearing the energy of the individuals that may have had hands on. So I can tell the angels guys light up everybody that person has touched, and obviously these little faces all through their body feel that the energy was still there from their healing sessions. And at that point, then I'll go in there and engage all of that energy and send it all back to those individuals that was in their field as such.
Yeah. Yeah. So somebody empathic will end up potentially taking on a lot of other people's energy, and that
Oh
can
yeah,
be
big
quite
time,
draining.
big time. Yeah, yeah. That's why a lot of empaths will stay out of malls, and that's why in this past week or two, I gave one person two panels, the basic panel, and then they brought it down to zero, and then another control knob where they brought in below zero. So now we're in a negative zone is where we're at. See, we brought it down to zero, but now we're in a negative because that person was that empathic that could pick up so readily.
Yeah.
So, and that seems to have worked real well.
Yeah. One of the things I've done that's working quite well for me is to only allow divine and sacred um, beings to communicate with me. I don't want to be just a medium for any kind of relative or whatever that wants to uh, share whatever with a
Yeah.
friend or a client or something like that. I just, I'm not available for that. No, thank you. So yeah,
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
that
You gotta be,
intention puts and that desire, and then making the request puts that protection layer or boundary around you to keep the lower vibration beings from kind of getting in your face, figuratively.
yeah. Yep. Absolutely. You got to be forceful with these beings. You're more powerful than they are. And of course, there again, the people just don't understand because we're in that 4% world, which the 96% is impacting us. So it's just a matter of paying attention and doing the best you can with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned a little bit ago, just in passing, a concept that I learned from you that's more than a concept. I mean, it's a real thing. It's dimensional lasers. Could you describe what this is and how it works, how
Yeah,
somebody
sure.
can utilize dimensional laser?
Well, everybody that comes through my class will get a set of dimensional laser. Archangel Michael keeps them tuned up. And a laser in the physical plane, you can use it for cutting, you can use it for communication, but it's a beam of light. It's usually got a specific color to it, and it's transmitted for various needs. Lasers cutting metal and so forth. There's a lot of uses for lasers. But my lasers, I have 5 sets. I know how to run 3 in my hands. I have 5 sets in my hand, but I can run 3 of them. I know how they operate. But I can reach into space and time and grab energy. So when I'm in session with an individual, let's say I talked to a lady just this past couple of days. She was talking about past lives, so I reached into space and time and grabbed her energy of her past lives. Reached in, and I said, "Hold your hand out." And I put it in her hand. There it was. So now she's got this energy field of her past lives in her hand. And I says, "What does that feel like to you? Does it feel smooth and comfortable, spiky, heavy, neutral?" She says, "Oh, it's feeling a little spiky, heavy." I says, "Okay, just hang on to it." So then I brought a couple of teams. And I says, "Guys, let's take note of that. Let's show her what will happen by doing a session with me to clear this energy." So I gave a count to 20. The reason I count is the angels know when I start, and they know when at the end of 20 that we need to have accomplishment. And if I need to get another 20, I'll give another 20. So I count down from 1 to 20. And then I said, "Okay, what do you feel in your hand now?" And she says, "Oh, that's much better." So she could feel the energy being pulled off in that thing. But I need to get my clairvoyant in there with me to see what's going on too, so we get a good results. But she could feel. So if a person wants to do a session, I can put the energy in their hands and let them feel what they would get by the end of the session time with us for that. The lasers are valuable. I can also, as an example, I brought this book out here. I wanted to show you. So this is the Bible, Crystal Bible 2.
Crystal Bible
So we
2.
have
Yep.
all yeah, yeah. So we have all these pictures of stones and so forth. So everything is in the etheric field. You just got to be able to grab it. So if somebody would like to have, as an example, for you, Stephan, hold your right hand out, and I'll just do that with you. So this is rose quartz. I'm grabbing out space and time, putting it in your hand. When I breathe out, I'm breathing chi energy. I'm putting chi energy into that intention of my thought. So you have that in your hand. You feel that rose quartz?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. I can fuse the energy of other crystals with that. They do not exist in the physical plane in combination. But here is obsidian. Now, the rose quartz is comforting to the nervous system and the heart. The obsidian will engage all discordant energy in your body as such. And here's diamond. The diamond amplifies it all. And so a lot of times what I'll do, if that person will like to hang on to that for a while, I'll just have them make a circle on a piece of paper like this. And then I'll take that combination frequency and I'll put it on that paper. And then they can always go back and grab the energy off that paper and put it in their body field. Or if they need protection, then I'll put 3 of these rose quartz obsidian diamond crystals, one to the front of them, one to the left and to the right, little aft. And then these will float with them everywhere, wherever they go, if they're in bed, if they're driving a car, and they're absorbing energy all the time and balancing them out. Mm. But with a laser, I can reach that space and time, and I can grab crystals, I'll grab situations, and we can put it on a piece of paper. Or if we're doing healing work, as example, I'm going to give you another story. That's okay. Mm-hmm. Nancy comes to me. She's about 60 years
in my right hand.
oh yeah, okay, okay. So you have a pencil right here. I'll pull it back. I'll give it back to you later.
Okay. And you have given me some like prosperity, abundance type energies.
Oh yeah.
And then infuse that into the paper, and then I cut that out and I put it like in my iPhone case so that I carry it with me and stuff. A little tiny.
Yeah. Keep it on your person as much as possible.
Yep.
You bet. Yeah, because what happens is, and I'll do this. When I have made an energy circle up and it's been charged, then as soon as that's in your body field, the whole body will pick up on that. So as an example, let me give that story about Nancy. She had to have back surgery. And so I've got like 30 people in the group and a chair up front. So everybody comes up and they tell me what they want. And so I would make a circle up for them as such. And then I would give it to them. And I would write there what we're doing. So for her, it was a new spine. So we made a big circle, the size of the paper, like this. So we made just a big circle. Everybody see that?
Yep.
So this big circle, they could utilize that in their bed around the lower back or sitting in a chair. But that energy field is there emanating. And then I have also on a second piece of paper, make some little circles up. And they only need to be maybe an inch in diameter or less. So it'd be like that. Mm-hmm. And so they would cut them out and they would put them. So Nancy, I put a brand new backbone field on there for her and little circles, and I charged them up and I left. And I did not see her for a month. When I saw her again, she runs up to me. She says, "You healed me." And I says, "Well, not exactly. You healed yourself. You did what you were told to do. I did what I needed to with the energy fields." And she did not have to have back surgery. She was so ecstatic. But she had them in her back pocket, her shirt pocket, her bra, her shoe. I did not know that. And she had them on her body for about 2 to 3 weeks. And then she had the big circle in the bed and all that. So the energy was emanating. So what happens is the body sees this perfect energy field or spirit field, and that replicates, oh, this is what I should look like. And then it starts replicating back to the perfect body field. And it kind of depends how long you've had your challenge. If you didn't get there yesterday, it took a while to get to where you're having your injury that's impacting you. So it takes time, and we never know what else is attached to it. There may be some curses attached to it, past lives that we don't know. We need to clear those out too. So the lasers, I can reach and grab a brand new backbone field out of space and time, put that on the paperwork. I can reach and grab anything. I'll give a brand new body field, and they'll have that. So you want another story, or you
Sure,
want to
but I
keep
just
pushing
want to make
forward?
sure that our listener understands that if they don't have the crystal on hand, let's say it's very rare or they just don't have it available at that moment because they haven't purchased it yet, they don't need the physical crystal. If they use the dimensional laser, they can pull that energy of the particular gemstone or whatever out of time and space, and then infuse that into a piece of paper, or uh, like incorporate that into whatever healing they're working on. And the book that you had shared with me before, isn't that book you just told us about? What was it? The
Oh yeah,
Gemstones 2 or whatever. What was that book? The Crystal
yeah,
Bowl 2.
gemstones too.
The one that you had recommended to me in one of the classes that I took of yours was the Book of Stones,
Yeah,
which is a great
that's
book.
a
I
good one
mean,
too.
I love having that on hand. And I mean, clearly a lot of other people liked it too because it's 4.8 stars with 1,000 and some
Oh, is that
ratings
right?
on Amazon. Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
it's
It,
a hit.
yeah, it's really good. And you got a set of dimensional lasers when you came to a class.
Yeah,
So we give you a set there. So yeah, utilize those as much as possible. You could. The lasers are controlled by your mind. If you can think it, you can run it through there. If you do dastardly things or not good things, they'll shut down on you. That they're programmed for that. And for all those folks that are listening to this podcast, uh, just take note. All the angels assigned to each of these individuals, take note of the individual's requests and work with them in space and time. Thanks, guys. Okay, all the angels will help out those individuals that see this podcast.
yeah, awesome. So you mentioned chi breath at some point. Let's talk a little bit more about that. And there's also something called
Yeah.
liquid chi that you told me about that I'd never heard of before, which is like
Uh-huh.
non-atomic gold, ormus. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay. So chi breath. Chi is like the life force of the creator, basically. And it's probably more important than air is. But when you breathe, the chi energy is in that oxygen. It goes into your body and it comes out. So when I do chi breath, when I teach it in class the chi breath, my intention is you've got a situation that's not good, or you want to shift energy to a better place. So you're going to hold that thought. First, you're going to hold the thought, and you might want to write down a piece of paper. Peace, joy, and happiness. Uh, Things are going to go well today, or whatever you wish. Write it down so you're kind of organized in that aspect. Now you got a candle up 5 feet out there, and you got to blow that candle flame out. So when you blow out, that's focusing the chi energy in the roof of your mouth. Now, unless you have third eye capability, you will not see that chi energy. But somebody that has third eye can see it. But oxygen, if you compress oxygen, you compress it to a liquid, and they use that in industry a lot. But you're focusing that chi energy in that thought form in your mouth, and your delivery system is your breath. So I usually do a set of 3 chi breaths, and if it feel the energy. You can use your lasers and grab the energy field out there. That person, hold that in your hand. Do 3 chi breaths on that person's energy field in your hand there. If it starts to shift, great. If it doesn't, then do another 3 on it. And if not shift, do another 3. It'll start to shift, and you'll be surprised. I taught this lady how to do chi breath for her kids, and she's at the dinner table, and the kid's watching her, says, "Mom, you're breathing really hard. Is there a problem here?" And she's running chi breath on the kid because he's a gamer and she's trying to get him broken off of the gaming situation. So,
Yeah.
but chi breath is pretty powerful. And anytime I'm working, you'll hear me run chi energy with my intention. Like when I put the crystals in your hand, I'm running the chi energy with that.
Got it. And what about
That
liquid
answer your
chi?
question?
Yes. What about liquid chi?
Liquid chi, yes. Okay, so there's 3 kinds of chi. The first is you'll see in the martial arts where they're controlling the chi energy with their thoughts and through their body. Secondly is the chi breath, which you talked about. And then there's ormus, ORMUS. And if anybody wants to see, if you type into Google Tut, T-U-T, the kitty cat, dash ormus, Tut the kitty cat, dash ormus. If you type that in there, you'll see this kitty cat had lost its tail in a windstorm. A piece of roof came off and cut the tail off. And the owner would use ormus is a hand lotion, and the kitty cat would lick it off her hand. And as time passed, the tail grew back, and that's in that picture. So it's kind of interesting. But it's liquid chi, and I've used it for growing, like a stinging nettle up here in Washington State where I'm at. There's stinging nettles. So I go in the woods and I get two stinging nettles, same size. There's one stalk each like this. I plant them both, and I got pictures of it. And no chi, all you got is one stalk and a few seed pods. But with the one I put ormus with, it had multiple stalks, multiple seed pods, and it was like a gigantic bush. And a stinging nettle does not look like a bush; it's just a single stalk plant. So ormus is extremely valuable, and you can get on the internet and you can purchase it, but you can make it. And I would give some cautions. I'm not real familiar with making ormus as such for consumption, but I do make it for my plants. And what you'll do is you'll take you purchase salt. People that are really good with making ormus, they'll have salts coming from all over the world, and they'll dissolve the salt in a bucket of water, and then you're going to get lye. And this could be like Drano, but it's best just buy the lye. And you can dissolve a bunch of lye into water as well. Get it into a liquid, and then go back to your bucket, stir your bucket, and then start pouring your lye in there. And all of a sudden, it materializes. It looks like cotton, and then you're going to wash it out. Going to wash the lye out, and that takes on. And there's a process on YouTube that you can look at and get a good idea how to make ormus. But I'll be making ormus in the next couple of months. I'll be making ormus for growing here myself.
Yeah. Well,
did that answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd love to include in the show notes for this episode that YouTube video. So if you can get that to me, and also that Tut story and the pictures and everything was fascinating. I'll include that in the show notes too. I already have that. I was already familiar with the story and had Googled that ages ago when you first told me about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I know we're getting close to time here, but let's talk for just a minute a bit more about dowsing and how the pendulum or just the concept of dowsing can assist with someone's receiving abilities and kind of getting the right path illuminated, so to speak.
Right. So I teach dowsing, but I'm kind of careful, and I'm going to kind of not teach it because people will use it like a crystal ball. They'll start to depend on it, and that's not the situation. And so some years ago, I was with my clairvoyant dean, and I said to Dean, watch as I'm dowsing with my pendulum. So Dean looked at that in the physical plane, saw it spinning around, and then he switched into third eye, and he saw a hand coming over my hand from the spirit plane. At that point, I says, Archangel Michael, what's going on here? And Michael says, I am downloading the information that you have requested. And so basically, the pendulum is the end result of something you have requested. But the problem is this. Angels do not know what it's like having an earth experience. So they may not get the correct information fed to you. So that's why I'm careful with that, because when you start depending on that, you can be misled. But basically, the angels are syncing with my body, and through my muscle system is coming out as a yes and no answer here, basically, is what it's doing. See, so I can control that pendulum with just my thoughts. So watch for just a minute here. This is a yes indication, a no indication, right hand spin.
Yep.
Left hand spin, stone still. So, but the pendulum is a result of the synchronization with the angels to your body, basically, is what's going on. And I see some of the best dowsers in the world, like Raymond Grace. These dowsers don't know how they work, but they do get results. And so that's where they're kind of at. They get results. And
Raymond Grace is very famous in the area of dowsing.
Oh, yeah. he is quite famous.
Yep.
Yeah, he's good. He's very good.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got some teams with him. We looked at him dimensionally, and he's got some teams helping him out with his dowsing skills and that. So right on for Raymond Grace.
Yeah, I'll include a link to him in the show notes too. So this is a really, really important point that you just shared that can become a crutch if you're relying on your pendulum or just dowsing in general. And that could be in the form of muscle testing too. If you are depending on it, then you can be misled. If you are using it as a crutch, then you're actually hindering your direct receiving abilities. and this tool becomes a dependency.
That's right. Yeah. Basically, if an angel materializes in front of you or prompts you, pay attention to it. But don't let angels make decisions like make it, you want an answer and then make a decision. And so what I'll do a lot of times, I'll ask the creator or ask an angel, is this the correct decision I've made? And they can say yay or nay. And then I'll muscle test it. And then I'll douse it too. So I kind of get the whole spectrum there. But yeah, be careful with pendulum because it's a tool. It's a valuable tool, but it does take skills to understand both sides of the fence, physical plane, spirit plane, how it intermeshes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to differentiate for our listener, because we're getting close to time here, that when someone takes a course with you, a class, then you're teaching something like, let's say, a topic on entities and entity removal, or you're teaching a class on dowsing, or you're teaching a class on working with angel teams and the different kinds of teams that they could be working with. That is a one to a group sort of situation. You also work one-on-one. It's actually 2-on-1 because you bring Dean in and there's a session with an individual who, let's say, is dealing with a health crisis, or they're dealing with some sort of breakdown in relationship or in the family or something, and they need some angelic assistance, and you work with that person in combination with Dean's third eye sight and your direct relationships with these angel teams. You're able to assist a person one-on-one, not in a classroom kind of environment on Zoom. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Generally, if we're doing a session, I work with Dean. I have Charlotte, who's a clairvoyant, also out of LA. They both got good skills, and that's invaluable as a healing. But if somebody just wants to learn some technology with me, I'll just do a one-on-one with them, and we'll do some energy work to feel energy in your hand and give you a set of lasers and practice that. Most important thing is practice, because this is so out of the box information and technology that if you don't practice it, you'll lose it. But by the end of the week, you'll have forgotten what's going on. So you need to be practicing. Or you can always give me a shout, and I'll reinstate the whole mindset again of what you're doing and where you're going.
Yeah, awesome. And I think you had a special offer for our listeners if they wanted to do a session or a class or something.
Yeah, if you go to the website, it'll be listed there. Just go there and take note. And then if you want to do a session, a first time session usually runs about an hour. It takes about an hour to clean the energy fields up and that. And then after that, maybe a month, 2 months later, you might want to do a half hour just to clean some energy field up. Or if you've got situations like you're in business situations, that we have CEOs that come to us and want to look dimensionally at what's going on, and individuals and that, see where they're going. They're in the corporation. So it's an invaluable tool that we bring to the whole process of seeing where we're at.
Yeah. So the website is angelteamhealing.com, but we'll include a special link in the show notes for the special offer, so that a listener, our listener or viewer, will be able to get the special deal. So thank you for your generosity with that. Any last final kind of words of wisdom or kind of gold nugget for our listener to leave this amazing interview with?
Well, I would say this as I close: is if you hold your hands out, men hold your right hand out, ladies hold your left hand out. The teams of angels that are assigned to each of these individuals, hi guys and gals, can you touch their hands and let them know that you are present with them? Thanks, guys. Touch your hands. Touch their hands. You might feel some warmth, a little pressure, maybe some tingling. Also take note, it may not even be in the hand. You may feel warmth on your heart or your shoulder. But connect with those teams of angels, because I assign those teams with the Creator's permission and blessings to all of you to help you all out. That's why you need a little extra help. And that's why they're assigned to you. And if you need help, you give me a shout, and I'm more than glad to help you out. and get you out on the road go. And we're all in this boat together. We've got to help each other out, basically. So
Yeah.
where we're all at.
Yeah. Reminds me of the Ram Dass quote, "We're all just walking each other home."
Yeah, really. That's true.
Yeah.
Yep. We got our different skills and we bring it together, help each other out for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, angelteamhealing.com is the website. We'll catch you on the next episode. I am your host, Stephan Spencer, signing off. And in the meantime, make it a great week. Reveal some light in the world. We'll catch you in a week.